The secret to better harmony isn't to learn more chords. And if you still think in terms of chords, then Chopin has something to show you. I'm going to show you what Chopin taught me about writing emotional music through harmony, and how it'll help you to write better music and appreciate more music today. This will help you to immediately start writing better harmony and to understand harmony on a deeper level. So I think harmony is one of the most powerful tools that a composer has to express themselves, but I think most people learn it wrong. We think that to get better at harmony, I need to learn more chords, and then I need to learn even more chords, and then if I want to learn advanced harmony, I have to learn even more advanced chords. It's always, chords, 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 and that's why you hear a lot of chord progressions in today's music, and that better music means more advanced chords. I think that's wrong. Learning chords helps, but they aren't the full story. So if you ever feel stuck using the same 4 chords, or if you're asking which chord should I use next, it's probably time to try something better. There is a better way. It's simple, it's more natural, it can help your music to say more, and you'll be able to use it today right after this video. So here's how Chopin does it, along with many of the best composers that ever lived. So let's look at this prelude in E minor. It's very famous, easy to play, this one. What really makes this piece special for me is the harmony, the way it moves, the journey it takes you on. So first, how would we analyze this if I were just talking about chords? Well, I would say E minor first inversion, that's sort of chord 1 inverted. And then B major second inversion with a 4/3 suspension, that's chord 5. And then F7 with a raised 4th. Is that a French augmented 6th? But no, it's not a French augmented 6th. It resolves to D minor, first inversion. But there's still a B, and so on and so on and so on. And the thing is, all that theory talk doesn't help here. It gets in the way. It doesn't explain what's happening in the music. It doesn't show you how the harmony works. It doesn't tell us anything about the expressive journey of the music. That's what we're really trying to understand, right? So I think focusing on chords too much can kind of miss the point. Good harmony to me is about an expressive journey. It's a way of creating flowing expression that moves naturally and organically from one place to the next. What I love about amazing harmony is it can take you to really surprising places in a way that feels totally natural, like it was meant to be. So try this. For this video now, let's stop thinking about chords and start thinking about voice leading. This is the shift that will change how you write, because voice leading lets you shape your harmony in new ways. It gives your harmony a clear path. It can help you express something that's truly you and not just another tired chord progression. So what is voice leading? Well, voice leading is sort of where harmony started. It's like the origin story of harmony. 1,000 years ago, monks were singing plain chant in a cathedral. You might have a high voice just singing one line of beautiful melody, like and then they started adding more voices. When they started adding more voices, more lines, it sounded more beautiful. But here's the thing, they weren't thinking about chords. They were thinking, how do we make these voices combine together to make something beautiful? And these voices combined together, they worked best when it was natural to the human voice. It was a nice, smooth, natural line, like la 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 la, rather than la 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 la, or something like that. So voice leading is about how each individual line or voice moves and interacts with all the others. It's how these different parts or voices work together to make harmony. It's not just about blocks of chords, it's all about motion. Smooth moves from one sound to the next. That's what gives harmony its shape. And when you start using this, you might find your music flows more. It feels more cohesive, flowing, connected. Each voice matters. Each voice has a job. And so let's stop thinking about block chords and start thinking about the journey. So looking at these chords in this Chopin, what if instead of chords, we see this as 3 voices, a 3-part choir? So we start in this place, it's E minor, sure, and then listen to what happens. The bottom 2 voices slip down just 1 note, and then the top voice slips down 1/2 step, and then the bottom voice is just slipping down a 1/2 step, top voice, middle voice, bottom, middle, top, and so on, So step by step, one voice at a time, the music slips and sinks lower and lower. The harmony keeps sinking and falling, but it all flows smoothly, slowly. It's not jumping around, it's sinking until we land on B major, around the middle of this piece here. B major is chord 5. Ideally, we'd want to go 5, 1, so B major here is our halfway mark. And sure, looking back on these other chords, we could say, well, that's a D major 7th chord. But does that help us to understand the music? Not really. It doesn't tell us what the harmony is doing. Really, this chord, you could call it D major 7th, but it's just a part of the path. It's just a part of the journey. We could call it anything. We could call it Alan. Doesn't matter. What matters is the journey. The voices move down and down, guiding us towards this big moment. And when we hit that B major, what does Chopin do? He doesn't resolve it yet. He says, not yet. He takes us back to the top. He pulls back just at the moment where we think we might be close to home. Kind of like a good story. So he takes us back to the top. But this time it's different. It seems like the same idea at first, but suddenly he sideslips in a different way. And then he makes it faster and more urgent. And that's good structure. It's repeated, but different. He adds more emotional urgency. How? Well, he accelerates the harmonic rhythm. The chords change faster. 3 in a bar, and then 4 chord changes in a bar. We're getting more urgent, and then boom. We hit chord 5 again, but this time it's the loudest dynamic yet, and the lowest note in the piece. That's the climax. But he doesn't even just give us a B major chord. Instead, he gives us pain. And even the way he resolves this chord with good voice leading is painfully expressive. The emotion and the expressive journey doesn't just come from the chords, but from how the voices move. So here's another of my favorites, this Mazurka in A minor. If you listen to this left hand here, I remember when I heard this, I thought, how did he do that? He went from E minor to D sharp minor to F major 7 to D minor. He's going all over the place. Those chords don't belong together. They're like toothpaste and orange juice. They're not related at all. But it works. It feels right. Why? Because of voice leading. He gets there through chromatic side slipping. One voice moves a half step, and then another voice moves a half step. And then we're back in familiar territory again. It's all smooth, subtle voice movements. It's not about stacking chords, it's about how each voice moves. And when you use this kind of voice leading or this chromatic side slipping, you can go on some of the best harmonic journeys. This is how you move through keys that shouldn't work but do. And it sounds so personal and so honest. Of course, this goes beyond Chopin. It's a principle behind some of the most amazing moments in harmony. For example, you can jump a full tritone, the most distant relationship in the Western scale, and you can make it sound sublime. How? Through voice leading. And you can also achieve amazing things even when you stay harmonically close. You could build a 5-note chord full of color and explore all the subtle ways that each voice moves. And that's where your voice comes through. You're not following stock progressions, you're creating new paths, new sounds, unique to you. If you found this helpful, I've got something coming up that you might want to join. In the very near future, I'm running a 5-day composing event. We're going to write a Hollywood-style piece of music together. It'll be fun, it'll be gamified, you'll learn a lot, you'll try new things out, and you'll create something real that you can take home with you, alongside other people who are doing the same. So there'll be community, and as I say, it'll be gamified, and this is completely free. It's me testing out some ideas, because I've had some new ideas recently about how to teach music. And so I want to learn if this works and maybe build something bigger for the future. If that sounds fun, the link's below. I'd love to see you there.